guys, it's Christy. I am so excited that you signed up to get your free painting tutorial, and I really hope you enjoy doing it. This is just going to give you a quick sneak peek inside of what it's like to paint with me in my membership group. So congratulations on taking the first step in learning how to paint, and I can't wait to help you along your journey. Be sure to join our free Facebook group through the link provided in the email below so you can get signed up and share the work that you create or your progress with our group over on Facebook. So look forward to getting to know you better and can't wait to see what you create. This gives you a general idea of what the view is going to look like as I'm teaching you classes online. So this is awesome up close and personal view of the painting, so you can see exactly what I'm doing with the brush strokes and everything. So the colors that we're using today, these are all on your list. We've got our white, cobalt, and Caribbean. These are all apple barrel. You can grab them at Walmart. You can also get them online. And then we have turquoise and apple tart. These are from Michael's. So those are the 5 colors that we're using today. We've got all those right here. And then we are using a 1-inch flat wash, a number 2 round, and a number 1 round. So basically a big fat brush to do your background and a couple round brushes in different sizes so you can get to the details. So I'm going to show you really quickly the final painting so you can have an idea of what we're painting today, and we're just going to jump right in to doing it. So I am going to start with my large brush, and I'm loading it up with my cobalt blue. And we're just going to start going back and forth. I'm going to scoot that back just a little, back and forth across our canvas. So a couple things I want you to notice as you're watching me do this. I want you to notice how easily the paint glides. So that's how you know you have the right amount of paint on your brush. It should glide very easily for you. When it starts looking like this and you're having to like force the paint into the canvas, that means you need more paint on your brush. So if you're new to acrylic painting and you've never picked up a paintbrush before, that is perfectly fine. That is majority of my first time students that come to my local classes. Most of them have never painted before. So this is definitely not for only people with experience in painting. I can teach people at all levels. Our group is an awesome mix of all levels. So we have some people who have never painted before. We have a few women who love it a lot and would love to someday sell their art. So regardless of where you're at on your journey, you could be a beginner, you could be, maybe you've done 3 or 4 paintings with me in class and now you're wanting to take some of the online classes too. Or maybe you've painted for a while but you want to learn some advanced techniques. Everyone, regardless of the level that you're at, everyone is perfect for this group. So it addresses all areas and you'll learn something different in each painting. So I'm kind of going along with my blues. What I want you to notice when I am switching colors, you see that nice transition from the dark blue to the turquoise to our Caribbean. How I get those blended is by continually going back and forth and blending those colors where they meet. So where the dark blue ends and the turquoise begins, you can't see a line. You shouldn't be able to see a line defining each area. To avoid that, you just keep going back and forth, and then you get that nice gradient combination of colors there. So I am going to wipe my brush off just a little bit, just to get some of that cobalt blue out of there. No need to rinse it right now. And I'm gonna pick up some of that lighter Caribbean color, get it a little bit brighter down here. And then I am going to transition to our apple tart, which is really just like a lime green. So just notice, you can see it a little bit more with this. See how I just keep going back and forth over top of where those 2 colors meet so that they blend together nice and smoothly. You don't see any solid lines where one stops and the other begins. So got a little bit of dried paint there. All right, so that is how we do our background. And again, you guys see how I just keep going back and forth until it's smooth. So I'm gonna pick up a little bit more of my blue here. I just want a little more. And you guys can do this with any color. These are just the colors that I chose, but if you want to do like sunset colors, that would be really pretty. I have done a dandelion painting like this in all neutrals, so like black and white, and then added a little bit of gold in there. So you can get creative with it. It doesn't have to be exactly like mine. So I am going to jump back up to the top, and you may notice when you are working with dark blues, they're pretty transparent. So most of the time you need a second coat with those. The trick with acrylic painting though, here's your first little tip I'm going to throw at you. When you are painting with acrylic and you need a second coat of something, you do not want to continually glop wet paint on top of wet paint. What happens is it'll actually pick up and start moving your paint across your canvas. So with acrylic, it dries very quickly. It just takes a few minutes, and then maybe like 5 minutes, if it's even been that long, and just enough that it's dried over that you can go back over for your second coat. So just keep that in mind when you're painting. Or also, let's say you make a mistake and you want to go back and fix it. A lot of people want to fix it right away, but the trick with acrylic painting is to let it dry. Once you let it dry, you can repaint anything over top of it. So this is, again, the original that we're going for, and you can see how this is nice and matte. It's not shiny, and this is really shiny. I'm gonna kind of tilt that. So when it's shiny, you know it's still wet. Once it starts looking matte, then you are good to put a second coat on. But that is very, very important if you do something that you're not happy with too, to not try to fix it while it's wet, because what will happen is whatever background you've got on there, all your colors are going to mix together and you'll end up with a really muddled painting. So we're going to let this dry just a little bit before I add the dandelions on. So that's going to be our next step. I'm going to add the stems, and then we'll go in and add the grass and then our little puffy part of our dandelions. So I'll show you that in just a second. So to give you a little background of what to expect with the Social Easel Online Paint Studio, on the first and third Friday of every month, you will have a video added to our private Facebook group that will be our full-length painting tutorial. So this is where, just like today, you're getting a full painting step-by-step on how to do it, and all the colors that you need, all the brushes that you need, etc. So that's the first and third Friday, and those are typically like an hour or so. While I'm here, I'm just going to show you guys this really quick. This was one of the ones that we did last month. So this was our cherry blossom tree. The great thing for you guys is everything that I have done with my previous students is all going to be there for you. So you guys are going to have a library of painting videos that are at your access all the time. We're going to have a private page on our website, and it's going to have a library of all those videos, and they will also be in our private Facebook group. So you are getting quite a deal by joining in at the monthly membership and already having, let's see, by the time you guys join, you will already have 6 paintings that you can choose from if you want to go back and do those, in addition to the 2 new ones that you're going to get every single month. So that's the first and third Friday, and then on the second week of the month, you will get some technique videos, and that may be something as simple as me showing you different backgrounds like this, or how to do clouds, or how to do a sunset, or different techniques for trees. So those will just be short little quick videos where I work with you on technique. So I want to give you a little example of what I'm talking about, but I can't find my sketch pad. Here we go. So this is where I'll probably be teaching you more on something like this. So this is showing you the difference of gonna hold that a little bit closer. Depending on the pressure that you use on your brush, the different brush strokes you get. So both of these brush strokes were made with the same brush, but when you push down hard, see how that brush flattens out, you get a wide mark. And then if you lightly drag the bristles across the canvas, you get skinnier lines. So depending on the pressure that you put down on the brush determines what your brush stroke looks like. So that's more of what the technique videos will be like. And then the final week of the month, we will do a live Q&A, and you have full access to me for an hour to ask me any questions that you guys want. It can be regarding a specific painting, techniques, any questions that you have. Maybe if you're wanting to turn it into a business, you know, tips on that. So anything that you want, you guys will have access to me for a full hour to answer any of those questions. Questions will be submitted ahead of time, so if you can't make the live Q&A, your questions will still be answered on there, and that video will of course remain in our library for you to access later as well. So we have something different for you every single week. In addition to, and this is probably my favorite part of the group, I'm gonna check my painting real quick. Okay, so hang tight. I am going to tell you part of the group. So once I start getting these painted on here. So this is pretty dry. It's okay if it is a little bit damp when you are doing this. So I am just going to start, I want this one to go about right here. And I don't want it to be perfectly straight. I want it to have a little bit of wind and curve to it. And then I'm going to have another one kind of go this way. So, do you guys want to know my favorite part of the group? My favorite part of the group is our private Facebook group. This is our online community where everybody in our group has full access. You guys share your paintings. You get to share feedback with each other, cheer each other on, and you know, I'm on there to offer advice or help if you need it. So that is accessible to you 24/7. You're going to meet some awesome ladies in there that I have a feeling will end up making some great friendships along the way too. So I love our online community. Everyone is so nice and so helpful, regardless of what level you are at. So basically, right now, I'm just filling in my lines just a little bit here. And these can go any direction that you want them to go. That's just how I'm choosing to do mine. So that was my number 1 round brush. Now I'm going to switch to my number 2, and we're going to start on the grass right here. So I'm just going to load my paintbrush up, and when you are doing grass, you kind of have this, like, kind of hold my hand so you can see, like a back and forth, just kind of bending your wrist type of movement. So when I'm doing this, I'm not pressing down hard. These are just quick. See how I'm kind of just doing this back and forth movement? You want to have plenty of paint in your brush. That's important. If you don't have enough paint in your brush, you're going to get really like broken up brush strokes. So you want plenty of paint in there. And I just keep going back and forth, kind of angling. See how I'm angling this way, then I'm angling this way. That way you get the grass going different directions. You can have some a little taller. We'll add a little more over here. And then maybe we'll get a little bit shorter over on this side. So I just keep jumping over and picking up a little bit more white as I go, adding these on. And I didn't have mine go all the way across. I decided to stop partially across the canvas. So again, you can choose how you want to do that. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how we do the actual puffy part of the dandelion. So the important thing to remember is that all your lines go back to one point. So we're going to start in the middle, and I'm just going to show you this one and then show you a couple of the little flyaways. Okay, so we're just going to start at the tip of that, and I'm just pulling lines out, always starting at the same point. So it kind of looks like a little firework. Like that. And don't stress over if some of your lines are a little thicker than others, because once this is filled in, you're not going to be able to tell that. We're going to add so many little dots and lines on top of it that that is not going to matter. So I actually want it just a little section of white there in the middle for the center of our dandelion. So I'm loading up the white in my skinny brush, and I'm just going to add these little angled lines at the end. So I'm going to hold that a little closer so you can see. And we're going to go all the way around and continue doing this. And again, don't stress over getting it too perfect, because so much of this is going to be covered up. So a lot of painting with me especially is just trusting the process. Don't expect every time you put a brush stroke down for it to mimic exactly what the original looks like. There's stages to the process. So we've got that going around just so you can kind of compare the two. So we've got a lot more to fill in. So I'm going to jump over and add a couple more little lines and kind of add these angled ones on the inside just a little bit. So we want it a little bit fuller. And I think I want to add another one out here. So you can kind of see it's totally fine to just jump all over and fill in where you think you need to fill in. So now we want to add all those little dots. There's two ways you can do that. You can just load your brush up like this and just dab them on there like that. Or if you want it to be a little more, I don't want to use the word perfect, a little more precise, you can flip your brush over. So now I'm using the end instead of my bristles, and you can just dab the dots on like this. So almost like you're stenciling. You can kind of hear me. It's bouncing off the canvas a little bit. So you can choose which way you like better. I'm gonna stick with this and just add a couple more dots around here. So it kind of uses the end of your paintbrush like a little stylus. So not something you have to go out and buy to be able to do these. Just flip your paintbrush around and you've got another tool you can use in your paintings. So I'm just going to keep filling this in until I'm happy with the amount of little dots I've got in there. And you can see I just dropped one here. That's okay. That's where you let the little accidents in your painting happen, and sometimes they become a beautiful part of the painting. Happy little accidents, right? So we are just going to keep filling in like that. And now I'm going to add a couple more just little flyaway dots over here. And then I'm going to add these little ones that have already blown off of the dandelion. So I'm just going to do just a couple to show you guys. And again, not putting a lot of pressure down, just lightly dragging my brush over. So this one's going to go that way. I'm going to have another one kind of, let's make this one come down. So just little slight curves, almost like a parentheses. And then we'll add those same little lines on the end. When I'm doing this, I am wiping my brush on the side of my plate. And what that is doing is allowing me to get a thinner line with my paintbrush. And then we'll just add these little lines here. This one's going to be upside down, so we'll add them like that. Flip my brush back around, use the end, add a few little dots. think I want to add a couple more on that one. So these can be, you can see they're kind of all a little bit different. So nothing has to be too exact. So that gives you kind of broken down each different step of the painting. Of course, when we're doing this in our online classes, we will complete the entire painting. This is just to give you a quick idea, but basically you're just gonna finish out and do the exact same thing. So we've got that one done. You're gonna do the same thing on the centers of these, and then you can add as many of the little flyaways as you want to. So I hope you guys enjoyed the painting tutorial. I hope you guys do it. I hope you find some time for yourself and maybe grab your kids or do it on your own for your me time and just relax and enjoy painting at home for a little bit. So if you guys have any questions at all, you can contact me through messaging on my Facebook page. I'm on there constantly, so that is the best way to contact me. Or you can send me an email to the socialeasel@gmail.com.